Hi everyone, and welcome to the Libra August through September 2021 Love Connection reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome. So, for all of you who are new to this channel, this is one of 3 connection readings I complete each month for each sign that's meant to bring awareness to some aspect of your internal, unique, authentic self, your spiritual purpose, and how well you are connecting to the general energies of love and interpersonal connection. Additionally, all readings are meant to help you have some clarity and start the process towards illuminating the answer to your very own I am question. So, in addition to cards I'm pulling, I also utilize the Triad of Engagement, which is a coaching tool I've developed for my practice, which focuses on demonstrating the importance of utilizing the 3 very basic principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation, and demonstrate how when you use those together, you help open up and unlock not only your internal, unique, authentic self, but how that connects then to your external environment and how that will provide you with a sense and better clarity as to your spiritual purpose. All right, so this is your love connection reading, Libra. This is where we get a chance to take a look at the general energies of love, as well as any blocks that may be coming up from you feeling in flow with love, as well as possibly any blocks pertaining to you and a specific someone else, or just interpersonal connection in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by pulling a card here where we're going to take the general energies around the message on the card, and we're going to tap into the principle of curiosity. So we're going to build out a question for you to ask yourself as we move through August, well, actually September, since this is being filmed in September, but to be able to ask yourself a question that's going to help open you up to your connection to the energies of love and potentially to the energies of someone else. And this is all in an effort to be able to really help make a very general reading, which is what these are, more specific and individualized for you specifically. So we have 2 cards actually that came out. We have one that says self-love, and it says, now is the time to love, nurture, and heal yourself. Self-love is not simply a state of mind about feeling good. It's a state of appreciation for yourself that grows and matures from actions you take to support your body, mind, and soul. And then the second card is find your center. And it says, your outside world is a reflection and a manifestation of what's going on inside you at this time. When the outside world becomes so hectic and stressful that your anxiety starts to overwhelm you, then this is an ideal moment to stop and ask, when was the last time I checked in with myself? I find it very interesting that both of these cards are the color red. And for me, the color red goes back to your root chakra. And there really is, especially with the Find Your Center card and self-love, actually, there's this quality of tapping into your root chakra, which is your grounding kind of base as to who you are. I find often that when I work with people, and I also went through this myself personally, that when we become disengaged from our spiritual purpose, when we are not living authentically as ourselves into our external environment, meaning we've kind of become disconnected or just going through the motions, that we generally have a root chakra that's out of balance. And our root chakra really holds the energies of where we can experience fear and anxiety through a lack of kind of self-awareness of who we are individually. And so for you, Libra, for this month, to kind of get yourself back into the energy of love, I think this self-love message is very important. This is going to be kind of, I think, your mantra for the month of September, is really repeating to yourself, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of not only being loved, but of loving myself as well. And why is that important? It's important because the more that you start to remember who you are and why you love yourself. So it's not just kind of this, well, I love myself. What do you love about yourself? when you think of your connection to the divine through the energies of love. And if you can imagine yourself as this beautiful, singular, individual creature, which you are, and the divine wants you to fulfill some specific purpose, well, you're perfect in your imperfections, Libra. And so there's this element of being proud of what makes you an individual, what makes you unique. But where I would build out a question for yourself is, what are those things that make me unique and an individual and a singular human being among the collective human experience? Because that is what's going to help you find your center. That's what's going to help you tap into your root chakra and really help ground you in you again. Because when we don't do that, that is where the anxiety and the fear and the worry can kind of creep up, because you're not grounded and you're not aware of who you are and what you're capable of. And so sometimes that fear and anxiety that kind of builds up in there can become overwhelming. And I get a little sense of that, Libra, that perhaps some of you have been dealing with that, a little bit of this kind of anxiety and overwhelm, and that now is the time to shift. Now is the time to, Spirit is really wanting you to connect with you. And why is that? Because when we think about the general energy of love, love is a give and a take energy. We are meant to give love equally as we take love in, meaning as we get the love and support from others. And what can happen is when we don't have that awareness of why we are so special and why we are meant to be loved, and we don't love our, basically all the things that make us us, we not only become disengaged, we are not bringing forward the unique parts of ourselves and actively acting from an empowered place of, this is who I am and this is why I'm taking these actions. But in addition to that, we can actually find it very hard to, when we don't love ourselves, to receive love from others. We can actually, this is when we start to almost become codependent, where we start to become a little desperate, where we're trying to get approval from others. We're trying to, then this can manifest in friend groups where we're trying to, fit in or gain recognition, and we're just not quite getting that. We don't feel it. Or where we stay in a work environment where we're hoping beyond hope to gain some type of kudos from a boss figure, or to, again, that somehow the organization is going to recognize you for the hard work and who you are. Or in a significant partnership where you keep putting in the effort and the energy, and yet the person that you're with still isn't giving you that thank you so much, good job, or I appreciate what you do. And so you almost become a martyr in these circumstances. And we can prevent that from happening by simply loving ourselves first, by really realizing what you are capable of, and that even if somebody else, even if you don't gain outside recognition, that you understand that you are, that the areas of your strengths and abilities, your hopes and dreams, are not just waiting for somebody else to validate them, to make them real, or to allow you to then act on them. They are something that you should be acting on all the time. And you should be validating yourself by loving those aspects of yourself and then holding that up. So when we think about curiosity, that's what helps open us up. When we focus on the concept of curiosity, it helps us open up to just the aspects of not only internally ourselves, but also our external environment, of what we don't know, what we might be missing. And we kind of, clear out the cobwebs of well, this is just the way it always is. This is just the way I've always been. This is how I always connect to people. And to start being curious again about, what am I missing? What am I missing in my interpersonal connections? What am I missing in my connection of loving myself as much as I should expect to be loved by another? And this is the month, I'm really getting this message very clearly, Libra, for you to reflect on all aspects actually of your interpersonal connections. be it work, be it your personal life, it can be friendships, it can be family members, to really take a look at where perhaps you're not being honored by those around you, where you're not receiving that love equally as much as you are giving it, and where also you have not been receiving love from yourself. That's really where I feel this big block is there's this element of giving love but not being able to receive it, even from yourself, Libra, which is sad, because I know that each one of us is meant to be loved and meant to be seen. I think that's another quality sometimes that comes up that, when I've noticed it kind of in TV shows and movies recently, that there's this element of bringing up that somebody wants to be seen. And we can actually disappear to ourselves. We can forget who we are. And just as much as we can be desperate for others to see us, to make us feel that we are here and exist and are worthy of recognition, but we can do the same to ourselves. We can actually lose our connection to seeing us, and just with ourselves. Sorry guys, I'm trying to explain these messages as they're coming in very quickly, but basically what I'm trying to get at is that we need to be seen by ourselves first. And when we become confident in that, and we remember again who we are, it makes it much easier for others to see us, because then we start to live that part of ourselves into life. We are living as ourselves, and so others will naturally see us. We don't have to grasp and make somebody see us when we ourselves don't even know what part of ourselves to express, if that makes any sense. So again, that question to yourself, Libra, is, what makes you special? What makes you lovable? What makes you, again, a singular individual among all others? Respect that, bring that back to yourself, ground that in your root chakra to dissolve any anxieties or fears that you might be having around just general circumstances in your life, or around not feeling supported, that perhaps you need this support to kind of start to step out, and start to, change yourself internally to change your external environment. Well, this is to help allow you to get rid of those fears as you step fearlessly forward as yourself. Really strong message, Libra, that's coming through. Okay, now I'm going to pull just some tarot cards here from one of my favorite decks, and this is going to be more of it's just the kind of fun free flow part. I'm going to see if, that is way too many cards came out there. Let's see if we can get a few less. I'm going to pull a few cards just to see if any messages come out that either back up this initial message, or that might pertain to a specific individual in your life and perhaps a block or a situation that's going on in an interpersonal connection. Now, this is where we get also a chance to tap into the principle of courage, because this is where we can actually, see the block, and then as we identify that block, you can then be aware of it to start becoming aware of where you want to be courageous to take action towards dissolving this block. So courage brings basically our place of empowerment. It brings the power of decision is what helps us change ourselves, change our perspective, and that in turn changes our external environment. We can't do it the other way. We can't change our environment. We can't change another. That's beyond our control, but we can start with ourselves, bring that power back so that we understand the importance and the powerful element of courageously making decisions from a place of self-awareness. All right, Libra. So the first two cards that came out was the King of Cups and the Four of Swords. So right off the bat, there seems to be some element here of taking a pause. So that's what the Four of Swords is. It's a divine moment of rest, to be able to heal heartbreak, the painful stories of the past, and to start to separate what is perhaps pain and suffering and those stories that we tell ourselves over and over again, and we keep reliving these wounds. What are stories that we can release now because they come from another. They were put on us by others, and we can now take a look and see that as we sit with clarity to say, wow, look how, I was more naive at that time, or I was less experienced. And so I understand perhaps why that relationship didn't work, or I understand why a boss and me didn't see eye to eye, or whatever it might be. And what's beautiful about this is that you get a chance then to walk away with a fourth sword. So the Three of Swords in the tarot is a card that denotes those, painful stories of the past. It's, the heartache, those kinds of wounds. But the Four of Swords adds an extra sword in there. And that extra sword that you get to walk away with is your sword of personal truth. It's where you get to relive those hard stories and you walk forward with an empowered, renewed view of who you are and the truth that comes out of all of those experiences. And this is where you get to have that really empowered sense of, okay, I went through all of that, but that's on those people now. Or that's a past version of myself. Look how much further I've come. And in reconnecting again with that question you're going to be asking yourself, you can say, wow, I really realized how going through some of those painful experiences has really helped grow certain aspects of myself, of who I am as an individual. And I'm going to remember that from now on. I'm going to remember that that's who I am. That's my personal truth. And that's what I'm going to start to really take action from as I move forward. The King of Cups. Now this could be something where the King of Cups could be yourself, that you, after reflection, have become more grounded in your emotional state. The King of Cups is somebody who is very strong in their emotions, almost to the point where they can almost seem emotionless, because they know within themselves really how and when it's appropriate to express their emotions, but also they have almost this like deep-seated quality of tapping into the spiritual realm. So having kind of rekindling that connection between yourself and spirit. And there's this knowledge, this kind of quiet confidence that comes from understanding that your emotional state of being is at peace. And so I almost feel like some of you are coming out of a period of rest, a period of reflection, and you're stepping forward into this energy, this element of an emotional state, or a state of emotional peace. Now this can also be a quality of where you are dealing with somebody who is a King of Cups. So this could be where, so the King of Cups is, harnesses the power or the energies of Scorpio. So some of you could be dealing with a Scorpio specifically, and that there's an element here where you are seeing something now in relationship to a Scorpio in your life, that you're reflecting on a relationship and you're seeing, the truth, which can be this fourth sword as well. You're seeing the truth of something that's coming forward in your relationship to a Scorpio. Because then we have the Two of Swords. Now Libra, this is a card that actually harnesses your energy. The Two of Swords is a card that utilizes the energy of Libra or your moon placement in Libra. So there's this quality here of indecision, of not knowing either which way to, that you're in your mental state of feeling confused. Not being able to kind of think your way through a problem. Now, for me, I always see this card as an illusion, that you can see here she has two swords of equal length, and that there's this element here of thinking that you have two options that are equal and that you can't make a decision between the two. And yet in reality, we each only have one truth, one sort of truth, which is what you're discovering here. And that is going to actually help if you can tap into that and understand that these two swords are an illusion. You're only holding the one sword, and you can feel your way into that truth versus this in your head trying to rationalize that you see two swords equal and feel into that and say, I actually know the truth. I know the decision I have to make, or I understand something that you're not trying, and if you notice she's blindfolded here, something that you're not trying to see. So I'm going to pull some clarifier cards just to see what else is going to come out here. So I'm going to pull some cards. I'm going to pull a clarifier for the King of Cups. And I'm going to pull a card for the Four of Swords. Let's see what comes out here. Anything for the Four of Swords? What does Libra need to know about their period of rest? Okay, doesn't seem anything wants to come out for that, so I'm going to go to the Two of Swords. What does Libra need to know about the Two of Swords? What does Libra need to know about the Two of Swords? Just as I'm shuffling here, I'm getting an image, it's very strange, of a cinnamon stick. I don't know if this is important to anybody, but I almost get this feeling of just intuitively that you guys are kind of adding the spice back to your life. That there's this quality, I love cinnamon myself personally, there's this element of this warmth to it. It's a familiar smell and taste, and it's something that really, it can bring us back to a place of nostalgia. It can make us just, again, think of something warm and comforting. And there's this quality with this cinnamon that I'm seeing that you're kind of tapping back into that for yourself, that you're bringing the spice back to your life, but in a way that is warm and comforting. Now this might be just a specific message for a few of you out there, but I just thought I'd share that because it came through pretty clearly. All right, so for the King of Cups, so whoever this is, whether this is you specifically stepping into this energy of being strong in your emotions, or whether this is a Scorpio or somebody else in your life that you have been kind of, this could be also just a water sign in general, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, or somebody who tends to be a little more strong in their emotions, that there may, again, be this element of you taking a pause to reflect in your relationship with them. Now, what came up was the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Wands. Shows me here that there's this element of what you are reflecting on is, and trying to get your actions to kind of gel around this, is walking away. There's a quality here of whoever this person is to you, for those of you that this represents a person outside of yourself, there's this element here of defending your decision to walk away. Now that's hard. That's a really hard place to be in. But if you notice here in this, I love this picture of the Seven of Wands, there's this quality here of this person is defending their actions, but not from a place where they have to outwardly fight others or be constantly trying to prove something. There's this quality here of being at peace with your decision and simply just turning within. You notice that here it's like the light from within is coming, even though it seems like there are people who might be trying to, get at her with these wands or sticks. There's an element here of her knowing that she's protected, and knowing that she doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. She can simply just move on, can walk away on an emotional level. Now, for those of you that this represents yourself, this could be that you are coming to terms with walking away from something that may even seem great on paper to other people, but you know that there's more out there for you, and that you're then stepping into this energy, that you're knowing that you can walk away from as many cups as you want, because ultimately you hold your own cup. You hold the cup that will eventually, on your journeys outward, be able to attract your ultimate emotional fulfillment. Now, for those of you, again, that this is somebody external to you, this could mean that you are finally, after some deliberation, choosing to make the choice to walk away from this person, and to understand that you don't have to explain why, you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You can simply do it based off of this new version of truth you've discovered within yourself. And then we have the Two of Swords clarified by the Three of Wands. And so really what I think here is what you were not kind of willing to see, or having the ability to see the answer between these two options, is based on so the Three of Wands is a card that really denotes kind of your ships coming in. That there's this element of you've taken action towards something, and now there's going to be some, reaction to your actions, and you're waiting for that to happen and to take advantage of the opportunities coming in. And so there's this element here of perhaps there are multiple opportunities coming in, and you are unable to, or again, more the illusion of not being able to see which opportunity is more right for you. And in reality, again, based off of the truth you're discovering during this rest period, we each only have our one sort of truth, which we can fall back on especially when we're dealing with thoughts. Because, we always want to we can overthink things, we can rationalize things. And Libra, you're an air sign, so you naturally, utilize the sword energy here. You can go right up into your head and then overanalyze or over-worry about something. And so there's this quality here of doing that, of overanalyzing or worrying, trying to rationalize in a mental state what is the better opportunity coming in for you. And what this is telling me here is that you have to feel into it. She has her arms crossed over her heart and her eyes are closed. And so there's this quality here of her not wanting to let that decision and that knowledge and this newfound personal truth, kind of the clarity of that, sink in on an emotional state, because that's really when you're going to feel it, when you're going to feel that kind of pain of everything you've had to reflect on, and to actually also feel the bittersweet pain of having to walk away from something. Whether walking away from something to become a higher version, which can still be bittersweet. It can still be bittersweet when we walk away from an old version of ourselves, or from a situation that maybe hindered us from being this person in a state of emotional peace. But what you're being asked to do is, in order to make this decision, because there are things coming in for you, Libra, that's very apparent here, and there's multiple opportunities, but you're going to have to come into a place of emotional awareness. And when we think about the energy of love, well, where does that start? In our heart. In our heart chakra, in our emotional core. And so to be able to open yourself up to feeling in flow with love, because when we feel in flow with love, that's really where we just are able to kind of just navigate seamlessly through life. We just kind of find ourselves in this flow. And I really do feel it's through the energy of love, specifically when we actually start to feel in flow, because we are tapping into our spiritual purpose at that point. We're tapping into the love that the universe, the divine God, wants us to feel as we are not only living ourselves into life in a productive way, but also being of service to others, and how good that feels. So in order for you to see which of these opportunities is the right one for you, it's to get out of your head and bring it down into your core. Your truth, you're rediscovering that, and it's time now, as you start to walk away, to make that decision as to what you're walking towards. Which opportunity are you going to choose? Because which one feels the best for you? Which one feels like it's honoring who you are? Beautiful message. Really beautiful message, Libra. All right. Now for the principle of contemplation, I'm going to pull one last card here for you guys. Contemplation is meant to help us reconnect with the energies of reflection, integration, learning from our, basically looking at the consequences to our actions and then learning from those because we're reflecting on them. This is where we really get to tap into awareness. Contemplation, when we build this into our everyday actions, contemplation isn't just meant for, your scheduled 20-minute meditation twice a week. Contemplation should be happening at all times. This is called active reflection, active integration, active self-learning. This is where we get to continually learn through doing. And it can help us not get stuck because we are noticing, okay, I took action here. This was the reaction. If it's great, I'm going to keep doing more of what I just did. If it's not, then I'm going to go back to my place of empowerment, to courage, and change the way I act so that I can then get a different reaction, a different consequence. And this is what helps us not get into the same relationships over and over again. This is what helps us not have the same job over and over again. This is what helps us not stay in terrible family situations. It allows us to really start to move again in flow because we're loving ourselves, and when others don't love us or when the reaction comes back and it's not a loving reaction, that's where we get to start to adjust. Okay, so we have 3 cards that came out. We have Time for a Nap, number 24, breaking down to a 6. We have Thinker, number 44, which I absolutely love that number. It's the angelic number, breaking down to an 8. And then we have Chop Wood, number 42, breaking also down to a 6. So it's interesting that you have 24 and 42 and in between 44. So I'm going to focus first on the numbers here because they're really standing out to me. There's this number here, or there's this element here between these two. One says Chop Wood and one says Time for a Nap. So there's almost this quality of in contemplation for reflection for you guys for the month of September. There's a part of yourself, I think, that feels pulled to do the work. This is kind of what Chop Wood is. Chop Wood is just keep going. Just keep doing your work. Keep, doing the basic stuff, showing up for work every day, doing your basic chores, so to speak. And then there's this quality of Time for a Nap, where you just need a rest. You need a break. And then in between, we have Thinker. And this is almost like what I'm feeling is coming through for you guys, especially with the number 44 here, that there's almost this like a divine help coming in of tapping into that your superpower, Libra. Now your superpower is not only can you tap into the energy of Venus, because Venus is the sign or is the ruling planet for Libra, which is the planet of beauty. It's a sensual planet. So there's this element here of, kind of coming in to help you focus on that, this element of beauty and love. But then also, in addition to that, tapping into your ability, Libra, to see both sides of the coin, or all sides, so to speak. And utilizing that capacity, that mental capacity of yours to really see, again, we're looking at, kind of being blinded by this decision, blinded even between, do I keep working and just towing the line, or do I rest and take a nap? What am I supposed to be doing here? This is quality of the divine coming in and saying, Libra, think about it. Think about what really, between these two, what means more to you? Yes, we do need to keep doing certain day-to-day things. We can't just stop, we can't just sit there and say, oh, I'm not going to pay my bills anymore. I'm not going to show up to work anymore. There's these elements of yes, there are certain things we have to do. But then there's a time when we do need to kind of take a rest. That really is what this card denotes, is this element of this divine period of reflection. And so I really feel for you guys, there's this element of this divine period of reflection coming in to help you see and navigate perhaps maybe where you have just been going through the motions to try to distract yourself from taking the time. I get this feeling that you're very exhausted, that you want to take a nap, but you want to keep going. And there's this element that comes through for me here that's saying, use your superpowers. So not only your ability to think and to see other ways, which is the beauty of Libra. You have this almost like magical quality to be able to see other ways because you can tap into other perspectives. Without even having to talk to other people, you can just kind of tap into that in the mental state. But there's this element of, as you're starting to realize what makes you special, and this can look like you really realizing that you have a strong ability to write, that maybe even in your workplace, maybe all you've written for many years is emails, but your emails have the ability to really bring forward emotion, that you are able to create. Maybe we work in a setting where you're not able to be in person one-on-one with people, but maybe through email communication, you're communicating with people maybe all over the world, let's say. And you notice that you really can create these dynamic relationships, but through the written word. Not even with you getting on the phone or you being in person, but you can create relationships just via email. And that's really highlighting, wow, I forgot that the written word is a strength of mine, and I need to tap back into that. And maybe that looks like you, as you start to develop that, realizing just how important that is, and maybe finding another way that you can actually utilize that. And that would help also as new opportunities are coming in. You can start to see like, wow, I really, for some reason, writing's standing out to me. So if an opportunity comes in and it's like, this opportunity is focused around writing, well, maybe that's where you bring that down into your emotional being to say, does that feel fulfilling to me? Does that feel like it might be fun? And so there's this quality here with, kind of spirit coming into this number 44 of saying, use this time of reflection to kind of almost see another way. That it doesn't have to all just be the boring, mundane tasks, and it doesn't have to be that you have to sit here and just, tune out, walk away, or sleep through this. There's this element of getting you back and re-engaged and saying, okay, re-engage with yourself. And as you're re-engaging with the best parts of yourself, then start to focus on utilizing those, of taking action from that place and making decisions from that place. Because then that's going to also alter where you kind of bring these two into balance for you. You'll be able to see where you can rest from perhaps things that you've been doing because they no longer hold any importance or value to you as you think about them. And you'll be able to also see where you need to keep putting in the work. Because there is this element of balancing these two. And Libra, you're all about the sign of balance as well. So there is this element of, yes, there's going to be work that still has to be done. And yes, you are going to be able to take a rest. But you need to gain clarity as to what needs to change in your day-to-day. Like what can be let go of and what still needs to be focused on. So really interesting message, Libra. I think this is one of those months that's kind of getting you prepared for fall as we move into October. The energy is going to be changing. It's going to be kind of a fresh energy coming forward. And I really feel like there's this element here coming through of really coming back into that place of self-love, of identifying what makes you unique, why you're worthy of love, so that whatever's coming in the months to come in fall, you'll be able to have made room between these two. You'll have released some day-to-day tasks and gotten enough rest so that when these opportunities start to come in, you'll be able to make that decision. You'll be able to see your way forward. And I really do feel for some of you, again, just to kind of recap, there's this element here of making that kind of hard decision after a period of reflection, of walking away from something that just doesn't emotionally do it for you anymore. And really basing that decision on your personal truth, on your personal perspective, on that clarity that's come through. All right. Libra, I hope this has been a helpful message. I hope you have a wonderful month of September. If you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. And I look forward to completing the rest of your September readings. And I hope you all have a wonderful month. Bye, Libra.